I, 30-year-old female, and my sister, 34-year-old female, dreamed about her wedding day for years. We jokingly planned small details throughout the years when she was single. Fast forward to when she met my now brother-in-law. We all lived together at one point in time, and that's when he decided to propose. He asked me for my blessing to marry my sister. I said yes, of course, and agreed to help plan the proposal. Knowing every single detail my sister wanted, this proposal had to be something special. However, we didn't anticipate infection 19 hitting so hard. Our entire plan had to be scrapped, and we had to plan something else. Even buying the ring itself was an issue. So my brother-in-law planned a small, intimate proposal at home. I covered the majority of the expenses for the proposal, since my brother-in-law bought the ring. I cleaned the entire house to stage it for the proposal that day, set everything up very romantically, anticipating their arrival. The proposal was beyond perfect. My sister said yes immediately. My sister quickly appointed me the maid of honor for her wedding. This sparked major conflict amongst her other friends. Fast forward a few years to the wedding. My sister wanted to have a big wedding with a minimum of 200 people. In order for this to happen, all infection 19 restrictions needed to be lifted. That's the reason for the fast forward. It's months before the wedding. I frequently call my sister asking if there's anything that needs to be done. Would you like me to call vendors? Do you need help finding XYZ? All minor details she may have forgotten or needed help with. Every time I was met with the same response: "No, I have Samantha taking care of it already." Or I was given a small task that is not affiliated with the wedding at all. However, I did everything she asked, giving her the results of what I found within 24 hours. Many times my results were unsatisfactory, or I received no response at all from my sister. Anyways, it's about July, and my sister sends out a reminder text for everyone to buy their bridesmaid dresses. My sister sends this text on July 6th. My son's birthday is on July 9th. I planned on buying my dress directly after my son's birthday. I wanted to be sure my son had the birthday of his dreams. The previous year he couldn't have a birthday celebration due to him having infection 19. That broke my heart. So this year I wanted to go overboard and show his birthday is worth celebrating. After the party, I went to pay for my dress, which was $378 USD. The dress was sold out. I immediately called the company that sells the dress, asking for a restock date, or if there was another dress available to purchase. I contemplated buying a smaller dress and hiring someone to create one dress out of the two. I called my sister to tell her what happened, and she hung up in my face. I felt horrible. I kept calling the company requesting any updates on the dress and received no response. Shortly after, I was baffled to receive a text from my sister stating I was no longer allowed to be her maid of honor at her wedding. Her exact words were, "This was the last straw for me. I've repeatedly asked for help and you're not available to me. I need someone who can be present on my special day, so I'm appointing Samantha as my maid of honor. You can still be a bridesmaid. I still want you there on my day. Make sure you buy your dress or I don't know what to tell you." What a complete insult. For context, Samantha is a newly acquired friend of my sister's. Samantha excessively kisses my sister's butt at every social gathering, always pivoting the attention on herself. I never said anything negative about Samantha to anyone. I spoke highly of her and treated her with respect when she was around. But anyways, my sister chose Samantha? The same Samantha who created a PowerPoint presentation for the bachelorette trip, undermining everyone for the location of the trip? Samantha who forced her opinions over everyone else in the bridal party that has known my sister for 19+ years. That Samantha? I was hurt, devastated. This is the day we talked about for years, the day you only get to share with your sister once. I didn't say anything negative. I said, "Okay, I'll still be available if you need anything. I understand." Ending the entire conversation with my sister. I cried on my husband's chest in disbelief. He begged me not to go to the wedding. But I'm not that type of person. Fast forward to wedding week. I got my dress. I paid for expedited shipping when it restocked to ensure I got the dress in time. I spent an insane amount of money for my hotel, rental car, and plane ticket. It's rehearsal day, and I arrive at the venue. I greet everyone waiting for my sister's orders. Samantha is talking to the venue coordinator after we were all instructed to wait for the bride. Samantha says to the coordinator, "Oh, I need to know what's going on. Are you the manager? I'm just asking questions because I'm the maid of honor." Everyone stops and looks at me almost simultaneously, asking, "I thought you were the maid of honor. What happened?" I shrugged and didn't say anything. Wedding day comes along. I give a heartfelt speech about our journey as sisters and highlight shared moments with my brother-in-law. Shortly after my speech, I leave the wedding ceremony without saying goodbye to anyone. I went back to my hotel room, changed my flight to leave the next morning, and left without a trace, ignoring everyone's calls and distancing myself from my sister ever since. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Yeah, this post gives off heavy, unreliable narrator vibes. OP, consider posting an update where you tell the same narrative, but from your sister's perspective, as best you can. Comment 2. I don't understand the obsession with someone else's wedding. I think it's time you separated yourself from your sister and became your own person. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support and advice on my last post. It's been a week since the wedding, and I've had some time to process everything that happened. I wanted to give you all an update on how things went down. After my sister demoted me to just a bridesmaid and replaced me with Samantha, I was crushed. But I decided to suck it up and be there for her because that's what family does, right? I managed to get the dress, even though it cost me an arm and a leg with the expedited shipping. I was determined to fulfill my role, no matter how small it had become. The week of the wedding was a blur. I flew out, got the rental car, and checked into the hotel. I was ready to do whatever was needed of me. At the rehearsal, I kept to myself, trying not to step on any toes, especially Samantha's. But when she started bossing around the venue coordinator, I could see the confusion on everyone's faces. They all thought I was still the maid of honor. I just shrugged it off. I didn't want to cause a scene or make things awkward for my sister. The wedding day arrived, and it was beautiful. I won't lie, seeing my sister walk down the aisle was a moment I had always looked forward to. Despite everything, I was happy for her. When it came time for speeches, I poured my heart out. I talked about our childhood, the dreams we shared, and how much I loved them both. There wasn't a dry eye in the place, but after my speech, something in me just broke. I couldn't shake the feeling of being replaced, of not being good enough. I quietly left the reception, went back to my hotel room, and just sat there. I changed my flight to leave the next morning and decided it was best to distance myself from the whole situation. I've been ignoring calls from my sister and the rest of the family. I know they're worried, but I just can't face them right now. I feel like I've lost a part of my relationship with my sister that I'll never get back. It's like there's this void where all our shared dreams and plans used to be. I keep replaying the events in my head, wondering if I could have done something differently, but deep down, I know I did everything I could. I was there for her every step of the way, even when she pushed me aside. I guess sometimes, no matter how hard you try, things just fall apart. So here I am, trying to pick up the pieces of my heart. I'm not sure where my sister and I go from here. I hope one day we can mend our relationship, but for now, the pain is still too fresh. It's a sad resolution to what should have been one of the happiest days of our lives. I'm not sure if I'm the jerk here for leaving early and cutting off contact. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But right now, I need to focus on healing and moving forward. Thanks again for all your support. It means the world to me during this tough time. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, I can't imagine how rough it must have been to feel sidelined after all you did. Just curious, did you ever get a chance to talk to your sister about how you felt before the wedding? Sometimes clearing the air can do wonders. Take care of yourself. Healing is key. Comment 2. It sounds like you've been through a lot. If you're open to it, maybe consider reaching out to a family therapist. They could help facilitate a conversation with your sister to address the hurt feelings and maybe mend the relationship. It's never too late if you think it's worth it. Now, for the next story. I, 20-year-old female, went on a good few dates with a guy, 25-year-old male. Everything was going well, and the guy was really nice at first. After a couple dates, I asked him if he had any children, as I saw a tattoo with a child's name on it. I asked him if it was his child, and he told me it was his nephew, and I thought it was cute he had the child's name tattooed. After a few more dates, I started to question a few things. Why the child's name had his last name and not the father's, why there was a car seat in his car for a child, and how he couldn't do anything on the weekends. After my suspicions, I asked him again, and he told me that he previously lied and that it was his child, and that he didn't want to tell me. I don't mind if someone has a child, it means there are more people to love. But I couldn't carry on because he lied about it being his nephew. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Edit. I have had a few comments about how I know it was a child's name. At first, every time we went out and whenever he would come over, he was wearing long-sleeved t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, etc. So I never saw it. When it was summertime, he started wearing t-shirts, and that's when I saw the tattoo. I asked thinking it was a grandparent, parent, lost loved one, pet, or maybe even this nephew he lied about. He told me it was his nephew's name, and when I mentioned that it had the same last name, I also asked about that and he said, "My nephew has his dad's last name. I just got it for him with the family name," which I thought was cute, just to clarify that. Also, I never said that there was a problem with him having a child. Again, I didn't mind him having a child. That's not the issue. The issue was that we were dating, talking, and getting closer for a while, and he still continued to tell me it was his nephew, and when he finally did tell me the truth, I told him I knew, and that he shouldn't have lied to me, and that I don't think I can carry on talking to him as he lied. Lastly, I am 20 and I do want my own children someday. That doesn't mean I wasn't accepting of his child, so lastly, we were talking about children and he told me he didn't want any, and that's when I started to pull away a bit, but he told me he didn't want any, lied about his child being his nephew, and then told me he never wanted any when he already had a child he didn't tell me about. Edit 2. Another comment I've been getting a couple of times is saying how they wouldn't say on the first few dates, but we had been going on dates, getting close to being in a relationship. This was going on for about 8 to 9 months, and I had asked him loads as things were not adding up. Also, the fact he said his mom wanted to meet me, but he didn't want me to. Maybe because he thought I would find out, so I would have understood if it was the first few days, but 8 to 9 months when you're about to get into a relationship is not something that I can take lightly. I hope people understand. Hope the update helps. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. He lied about something big. What else would he lie about in the future? Comment 2. Not the idiot. This was a major red flag and you did the absolute right thing. Now, for the update. So, it's been a month since I decided to end things with the guy who lied about his child. Honestly, it was tough at first. I kept replaying our conversations, wondering if there were any other lies I missed, but I also felt a sense of relief. Trust is huge for me, and once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild. The first week after the breakup was the hardest. I kept thinking about the good times we had, and part of me wondered if I'd made a mistake. But then I'd remember the lie, and I'd know I did the right thing. My friends were super supportive, reminding me that I deserved someone who was honest with me from the start. About 2 weeks in, he reached out. He sent me a long text apologizing for lying and explaining why he did it. He said he was scared I'd run off if I knew he had a child. He admitted it was wrong and said he understood why I couldn't trust him anymore. I appreciated the apology, but it didn't change the situation. I replied, wishing him the best and reiterating that I couldn't be with someone who wasn't upfront with me. After that, I focused on myself. I dove into my hobbies and spent more time with friends and family. It was refreshing to just be me without the drama of a relationship built on lies. Then, something unexpected happened. I bumped into his sister at the grocery store. It was awkward at first, but she was really kind. She told me she understood why I ended things and respected my decision. She also mentioned that her brother was genuinely sorry and that he was working on being a better person and father. It was nice to hear that he was taking steps to improve himself, even if it was too late for us. As the weeks went by, I started to feel more like myself again. I realized that I had learned a lot from the whole experience. I learned to trust my instincts and not ignore red flags. I also learned that it's okay to walk away from a situation that doesn't feel right, no matter how much you might want it to work. Now, a month later, I'm in a much better place. I'm not ready to jump back into dating yet, but I'm open to the idea of meeting someone new when the time is right. I want to make sure I'm fully over this past relationship before I start another one. In the end, I'm grateful for the experience. It wasn't easy, but it taught me a lot about myself and what I want in a partner. I'm looking forward to the future and all the possibilities it holds. And who knows? Maybe the next guy I date will be the one who's honest and open from the start. Here's to hoping. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. You're not the jerk for wanting honesty in a relationship. Trust is the foundation, and if he's willing to lie about something as big as having a kid, what else might he fib about? You did the right thing. Stick to your guns and find someone who values transparency as much as you do. Comment 2. Had a similar experience where my ex lied about her job situation. It's tough, but when the trust is broken right from the start, it's a steep hill to climb. Ending it was probably for the best. It's all about that gut feeling, and you listen to yours. Good on you. Now, for the next story. I'm a 39-year-old man. A couple years ago, I went out and bought a brand new car, a 2020 Dodge Journey. My name and my significant other's name are on the title. I kept my 2002 Pontiac Grand Am GT as a spare car, which I had before the relationship began. The purpose was to use it when my Dodge needed major services. Then, a couple months later, my significant other, a 41-year-old woman, asked me if her son, who was 23 years old at the time, now 20, could use my Pontiac to get around for work and school. I agreed, but with certain conditions. 1. It stays in my name unless he wants to buy it for $4,500. 2. He is responsible for all basic maintenance, such as oil changes, tire rotations, and engine and cabin air filter replacements. 3. He must have his own insurance on it, full coverage. 4. Any modifications to the radio or engine must be approved by me before being done. 5. He must inform me right away if the check engine light comes on so that I can run a scan tool on it. 6. He must keep a job to pay for insurance and gas. 7. He must keep the inside and outside of the car clean. 8. I have the right to inspect the car at any time for any reason. Both my significant other and her son agreed to these rules and conditions. However, a couple weeks ago, I found out that he quit his job and his girlfriend left him because he was not being responsible for his actions and quitting jobs. I told him that I would come and take the car away on 10/25 if he didn't have a job and get the car reinsured. He agreed, but my significant other thought I was being too harsh. I reminded her that they both agreed to the rules and he broke them, so I had the right to take the car away. Since it was my first car, which I bought with my own money right after high school, I was quite attached to it. When I went to inspect the car, I discovered that the inside was trashed. I decided to take it home to clean it out. My significant other was upset that I took the car without discussing it with her, but I reminded her of the agreement. This led to a big argument, and I made it clear that he would never get the car back. At that point, I had both keys for it on my keychain. Maybe a week later, I noticed that the car was gone. I knew I had both keys, so I realized he must have had another key made for it without my knowledge. Now I'm wondering if I should involve the police or just let it go. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I would warn them that you are calling the police to report it stolen, then sit back and enjoy the panic. Comment 2. Report it as stolen because that is what it is. It is in your name only. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and advice on my last post. It's been a wild few days, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after I found out my Pontiac was missing, I was fuming. I mean, I had both keys, so the fact that he'd gone behind my back to make a spare was just another slap in the face. I was ready to call the cops, but before I did, I decided to have a sit-down with my significant other. I needed to make sure we were on the same page because, let's face it, involving the police would take things to a whole new level. We talked it out, and she was surprisingly understanding. She admitted that her son had crossed a line and that we needed to take action. So we agreed to give him an ultimatum: return the car within 24 hours or we'd report it stolen. She called him and laid down the law. It was tense, and I could tell she was torn, but she stood her ground. The next day, the car was back in the driveway when I woke up. No note, no apology, just the car sitting there like a guilty dog that knows it's done something wrong. The inside was still a mess, but at least it was home. I decided to let it slide this time, but I made it clear to my significant other that this was his last chance. Over the next couple of days, her son kept his distance. I think he realized he'd pushed things too far. Meanwhile, my significant other and I were working on getting back to a good place. We had some deep conversations about boundaries and respect, and it felt like we were finally getting somewhere. Then, 2 days ago, her son showed up at our door. He had a job interview lined up and wanted to make things right. He apologized for taking the car and for not respecting the rules we'd set. It was a heartfelt apology, and I could see the regret in his eyes. I'm not one to hold grudges, so I accepted his apology, but I made it clear that the car was off limits until he could prove he was responsible enough to take care of it. Yesterday, he called to tell us he got the job. He also said he'd arranged his own insurance and was ready to start paying for the maintenance on the Pontiac. I was impressed. It seemed like he was finally taking responsibility for his actions. My significant other was over the moon. She was so happy to see her son turning things around, and I've got to admit, it felt good to see him stepping up. We decided to give him another chance with the car, but with a few new conditions. This time, he'd have to check in with us weekly to give updates on his job and the car's condition. And no more spare keys without my permission. So, here we are, 3 days later, and things are looking up. The Pontiac is back in the driveway, clean and well-maintained. Her son is working and taking responsibility for his life, and my significant other and I are stronger than ever. We've learned a lot about communication and trust, and I think we're all the better for it. It's funny how life throws you curveballs, but sometimes those challenges bring people closer together. I'm cautiously optimistic about the future, and I'm grateful for the support of my significant other through all of this. It's not always easy, but it's worth it when you come out the other side stronger. Thanks again for all the advice, folks. It really helped me navigate through this mess. Here's to hoping for smooth sailing from here on out. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Man, I've been there. My nephew once took my truck without asking, and it drove me up the wall. I get setting boundaries. You're not a free rental service. It's tough love, but sometimes that's what these young adults need to learn responsibility. Comment 2. Did you ever sit down with the son and have a heart-to-heart about why he took the car? Sometimes understanding their perspective helps. Maybe offer a structured plan for him to earn the privilege of using the car, like contributing to household chores or showing consistent responsibility. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.